A lot of people think Bitcoin is being suppressed because of how boring the price is. Remember the movie The Big Short? That one would help explain what's going on. We probably all feel like Michael Burry. Remember the guy who predicted the 2008 housing crisis? What people may not know is he actually thought it was going to happen in 2007. And for a while there, nothing happened. He waited. The world called him crazy.
I may have been early, but I'm not wrong.
But then 2008 hit and all hell broke loose, just like he said it would, and he got the biggest check of his life, to all of our unfortunate demise. Right now, Bitcoin feels like it's in purgatory. Lots of yelling, lots of predictions, and an awful lot of silence and confusion about what comes next. Today, I'm gonna show you why we're almost at the finish line and why the confusion and the boredom in the markets might just be the final shakeout. Let's dive into what comes next. On the surface, the fundamentals are screaming bullish. Institutions are quietly scooping up supply, ETFs are absorbing coins faster than their mind, and governments are reshaping monetary rules. But on the screens, flatline, boredom, exhaustion. It feels broken not because Bitcoin failed, it feels broken because the system around us is breaking. We don't feel the top because the ground beneath us is realigning. This might be the exact moment that pushes us to our psychological limits, because after everything stops shaking, the next thing we might wake up to is orange sky.
Mortimer, we're back.
On paper, the story looks impossible to argue with. On one hand, big institutions have moved from watching to buying. Spot ETFs are pulling in more Bitcoin than miners are producing. And Bitcoin treasury companies now exist at a scale nobody would have believed a few years ago. And yet, the price is barely moving. People showed up expecting fireworks and instead got the first act of an avant-garde mime show. That disconnect is what's driving everyone insane, including myself. The fundamentals are yelling, "This is huge," while the price is barely reacting. So it's no wonder people feel like something is broken. The old system that used to create volatility is recalibrating in the background. And the worst part, Wall Street doesn't need hype to win. They can buy quietly, while retail burns energy, money, and patience for a breakout. There's a fatigue in the market that we haven't felt before. It almost feels intentional, like the goal is to shake out the weak hands before the real move begins.
This is remarkable. This price action is great, and I think Q4 is going to be great. But it's only going to be great for you if you can survive the pullbacks and survive the boring periods and survive the sell in Mays and go aways and all of the traditional TradFi bullshit that has been driving traditional markets. And most Bitcoiners can't. So they're going to get screwed. And I'm here for it because I want them to get screwed. I want every Bitcoiner that can't handle it to get their Bitcoin taken away. Go trade meme coins. What are you doing here? You got the hardest asset humanity has ever created and gold pumps 40%. And you're like selling your Bitcoin now? Sell it. I love it. Sell it. Sell it to BlackRock. It's great.
So that's interesting. So TradFi is trying to squeeze you out by boring you to death. That's
what they always do.
That's basically what I'm understanding.
They got two tricks. They've got two tricks, and they've got two tricks forever. It's boredom and over leverage. That's it. TradFi has no other tricks. If you can get over boredom and over leverage, you win.
Markets will either bore you to tears or scare you out. Right now, they're trying to shake us out by putting us to sleep. The memes feel stale, influencers continue to recycle old news, and the average holder checks the chart like it owes them an apology. Listen to Warren Buffett's thoughts on this.
You don't have to make any decisions. You have to make, nothing is forced upon you. So there are no called strikes in the business. The pitcher just stands there and throws balls at you. And if you're playing real baseball and it's between the knees and the shoulders, you either swing or you got a strike call on you. If you get too many call on you, you're out. In the securities business, You sit there and they throw U.S. Steel at 25, and they throw General Motors at 68, and you don't have to swing at any of them. They may be wonderful pitches to swing at, but if you don't know enough, you don't have to swing. And you can sit there and watch thousands of pitches, and finally you get one right there where you want it, something that you understand, and then you swing. And
so you might not swing for 6 months.
You might not swing for 2 years.
Isn't that boring?
It would bore most people, and certainly boredom is a problem with most professional money managers. If they try to sit out an inning or two, not only do they get somewhat antsy, but their clients will start yelling, "Swing, you bum," from the stands, and that's very tough for people to do.
Let there be no doubt in your mind that the exhaustion is tactical. Time preference is a weapon. If the system can turn your conviction into exhaustion, it wins access to your coins without ever admitting defeat. This isn't purely conspirational, it's behavioral finance. ETFs and financial infrastructure let big players accumulate without creating panic. They don't need a short-term spike to say, "We won." They just need you to stop believing.
Don't stop believing.
And when your belief fades, the coins are easier to collect. So the real battle right now is psychological. Focus, patience, and the stubborn refusal to equate short-term flatness with failure.
Most people live as if time is their enemy. They rush, chase, and grind, constantly trying to outrun the clock. But the truth is, time is only your enemy when you're out of alignment with it. When you live with a high time preference mindset, always needing instant results, you're fighting the natural flow of reality. You're burning your energy in resistance. That's the treadmill most people are on, running faster, but going nowhere. Bitcoin taught me something profound. When you align with truth and patience, time starts working for you. Think about it. Bitcoin doesn't rush. It doesn't hustle. It just keeps producing one block every 10 minutes. Steady, predictable, unstoppable. And because of that consistency, it compounds value over years, not days. That's the difference between force and flow, between trying to make things happen now versus trusting the process and letting the proof of work unfold. When you tap into that rhythm, your nervous system relaxes. You stop gripping so tightly. You realize everything in nature grows at its own pace. The oak tree doesn't rush to become a forest. The ocean doesn't hurry its waves. The sun doesn't apologize for only rising once a day. Time becomes your ally when you stop trying to manipulate it and start synchronizing with it. When your actions are rooted in truth, consistency, and patience, time amplifies them exponentially. That's the real secret of freedom. You no longer live in a constant state of urgency. You live in timelessness. You flow with reality instead of against it. So slow down. Align your work, your health, your money, and your mind with principles that endure. Then step back. Because once time is working for you, you can finally get off the treadmill and start moving forward.
Take a deep breath and go back to day one. Feel the stillness. Remember why you started this path. Scarcity. Decentralization. Censorship resistance. Predictability. As the world's money printer hums louder and governments chase control, return to that breath, that math, that certainty. This is grounding in its purest form. 21 million. Steady. Unshaken. Did I just get high off my own hopium? Maybe a little. No, this sideways market is testing something deeper than account balances. It's testing time preference and faith in math over narrative. The math doesn't change when the headlines do. The protocol still issues the same tiny immutable supply of coins per block. Remember that. This stillness is not the enemy. It's the screening process that tells you how much you really want to be part of the future you imagined.
Message!
And now, before we dive into our final segment, here's a quick reality check from two teams who actually make Bitcoin easy to own and keep. Real tools, real control. Would you mine Bitcoin if it were as easy as buying it? Then you should check out Sazmining. It's not hosted mining. It's mining as a service that actually puts Bitcoiners first. You can own a state-of-the-art mining rig, plug it into affordable carbon-free energy, and stack Bitcoin just like Satoshi. No middlemen, no markups, and no worries. Saz doesn't tack on extra fees when you sign up, unlike other companies, and there's no rig upcharges or inflated power rates. Their entire business model is based on a clean and simple revenue share. They only earn Bitcoin if you are too. A total alignment of incentives and 100% Bitcoiner values. While some claim simplicity, Sazmining proves it. Let's just say that if you need a compass to find your miners, you're not in the right place. This is how Bitcoin mining should have always been done. Visit sazmining.com or scan the QR code to learn more and start hashing. If Sazmining helps you own the machine that mints sats, this next one helps you unlock their value without selling them. If you're stacking sats, you need Bitcoin-backed services that you can trust. That's why we roll with Ledn, the global leader in Bitcoin-backed lending. Ledn has issued over $9 billion in loans since 2018 and a perfect record of protecting client assets. Why is a Ledn loan different? Collateral is not lent out to generate interest. No credit checks, funds in 24 hours, no monthly payments, repay whenever you want, zero penalties, and their proof of reserves verified every 6 months keeps them transparent. Ledn lets you unlock liquidity without selling. Sign up through Simply Bitcoin for 25 basis points off your first loan. Learn more at learn.ledn.io/simply. Now, let's get back to the show. Okay, so how do we turn this boredom back into conviction? How do we hold on for dear life when everything is asking us to fold?
And the number one thing people keep saying is, I'm just late. I'm late to the game. And I love this is a new idea, is thinking you're late to Bitcoin is an ego test. It's just your ego fooling with you. Because late to who? Bitcoin, there is no one taking attendance. Bitcoin isn't even a human. It's a piece of software. It can't take attendance. It doesn't know time. It has no idea when you showed up. It doesn't even give a shit about who you are. So late to who? Oh, late when you compare yourself to other people. Late when you compare yourself to your friends or to your siblings. That's what you're late. So Bitcoin is an ego test. I loved that as well. So I think it's a litmus test. It's an ego test. If you're willing to say, you know what, it is the hardest, best thing for me to own. It doesn't matter if I owned it later or earlier than any other person. That's not what life's about. Life's about being a great person and contributing to the future. And yeah, storing my wealth in something hard. But I found that interesting too, because the number one thing you get from no coiners is I'm late. It's like, oh, you're not late, you're insecure. It's an ego test. Bitcoin doesn't take attendance. It doesn't even know who you are. So you're not late, you're insecure. So as soon as you can fix whatever's going on inside of you, you can own Bitcoin, and Bitcoin will reward you for that.
We all get the Michael Burry feeling right now. Early and mocked.
You want to bet against the housing market?
Why? Those bonds only fail if millions of Americans don't pay their mortgages. That's never happened in history. If you'll excuse me, Dr. Burry, it seems like a foolish investment.
Well, based on prevailing sentiment of the market, banks, and popular culture, yes, it's a foolish investment, but everyone's wrong.
That's a good one.
But history rewards the patient. Burry's trade was obvious once the system collapsed. Hindsight is 2020, of course. The problem was wading through the cinema of denial. Bitcoiners are living the same act. Early, lonely, and surrounded by skeptics who will happily explain why it won't work. There's a moral here, and it isn't complexity, it's conviction. In The Big Short story, timing doesn't disprove the thesis, it delayed the payoff. The same is true here. You don't need to be a prophet, you just need to be stubbornly present.
As we go into yet another cycle, people that were here in the first and second cycle who have a significant number of the coins, their conviction in this upcoming cycle isn't just stronger or like twice as strong. It might be 100 times stronger. And that conviction is something that for people that are maybe watching from the outside, they cannot even comprehend why a person has that much conviction and why they're watching the price move, call it 5,000 or whatever. I mean, it was down at 26, so it's even more than that. People with a lot of conviction are looking at this and they're saying, okay, well, I guess it's just getting started. We're in another cycle. This thing could go to 100, 500,000, and it's just like, okay, that's what it does. And my basis is in the hundreds or $5 per coin or whatever. And those are the people who are squatting on a lot of coins. And so they're, to Lynn's point, if you're coming into this for the first time and you're trying to understand why the price moves like this, it moves like this because it's actually scarce. Nobody can manipulate it. And the people who hold a lion's share of the coins, they're not ever selling them. Michael Saylor had a really interesting poll that he posted on Twitter today. And he said, how high will BTC need to rise before you would consider selling a small portion of your Bitcoin? And he had different prices. He had 100,000, 250,000, 500,000, and $1 million to never being the fourth category. And 29% of the people that responded to the poll said that they would sell some of their Bitcoin at 100,000. And so if you're an outsider or you're new to this and you're looking at that and you're saying, all right, so that's going to induce some variance or volatility in the price, like maybe once we get to 100,000, it may, and it might do it for the speculators there for a little bit. But what I would challenge people to really kind of think maybe at a second derivative of that is if you had to take, if you had the market weight those percentages with how many Bitcoin do those people hold, I would tell you that the people who are voting for 100,000 that they'll sell some of their position are people who hold minuscule position sizes. And the people who have really large position size as far as the outstanding inventory are the ones that are saying $1 million or never. And so what do you think is going to drive the price? The price is going to be driven by these deeply convicted, I'm not selling these coins until I can, buy some equity at like a PE of 5 and they're denominating Bitcoin on their balance sheet type people, because they know what they own.
One last thing before we close, if you want to witness the industry, the infrastructure, and the people actually building Bitcoin's future, this next event is the place to be. Mining Disrupt 2025 is almost here and you don't want to miss it. The biggest Bitcoin mining event of the year is taking over Dallas, Texas, November 11th through the 13th. This may be the most important Bitcoin mining event in history. The biggest names in the industry, cutting-edge rigs, Bitcoin and AI integration, the signal you won't get anywhere else. Grab your tickets today and use promo code SimplyBitcoin for 20% off, and we'll see you there. If you're feeling despair or doubt, lean into it, but don't stay there. Despair is a signal that something important is changing. The system that taught us to trust inflation, leverage, and short-term gains is breaking. That's the reality. And that's painful. It's also the moment that we have been stacking for. You don't have to be perfect at timing. You don't have to be loud. You just have to hold. Conviction is forged in the quiet places where everyone expects fireworks. So hold a little longer, stack a little more, and remember, when the earth stops reconfiguring, the sky looks bluer, or in our case, orangier, than you imagined. Comment below what made you buy Bitcoin in the first place and what keeps you holding now. I'll read the best ones on the next show. That's all for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching Simply Bitcoin's Satoshi, Stack, Slay, and stay bullish, baby. Now more than ever.